recording card. But I was saying, if there are beings who have got certain attainments, and these beings have got attainments that you don't have, and they're acting in a way to harm you, to send you unwanted things, to be a pestilence upon you. Keep going. Keep going as best as you can. Because if these beings were able to get these attainments, surely you can too. Who is going to give you these attainments? Some people say that they're not things that you have to go and get, that that's actually a problem. Because in our human way of thinking, we think if I don't have something, I've got to go somewhere and get it. Some teachings say enlightenment is lightening your load of things that you were taught in the past, getting rid of informations. In other words, you have this attainment, but it's being blocked by a lot of other things that you have got to release from yourself, so that these other attainments will become activated. In other words, there's something in you blocking you from having everything. And these things, these are the hindrances. There's something in you. All the same, you don't have a guide who can help you find these things, and no one knows how to let them go. In English, it seems so easy to follow the directions. The words say something. But when you try to follow these words in other bits of your being, it's not always easy to do what the words say for you to do. How long does it take to learn to play baseball? One afternoon? How long does it take to play baseball so you're good enough to play in Major League Baseball? The beings that have got certain attainments have got a certain attainment which appears to me like they can block me from the words that I want to get. Sometimes they say the divinity is using us as an excuse for a delay. In other words, they're giving me some beings that I'm aware of, and these beings that I attribute not getting the words that I want, I attribute it to them, something they're doing, but it's really the divinity creating a smokescreen, a diversion. It doesn't want me to have the words right now, and it's just giving me other things that I can blame. Or I could go directly to the divinity and say the divinity blocked me from these words. Does it sound like something a divinity would want to do? Block you from words that you are trying to access. Because the divinity knows something that you don't, in and out of time, perhaps it needed a long pregnant pause while I was trying to access the words to make the video better. Or was it just a bunch of highly negative beings trying to get in the way? And finally, they got out of the way because they saw there was a great being that was looking down at them and saying, "Oh, it's time for you to stop doing that." Why doesn't the great being get rid of these negative beings altogether? Because they are in a classroom. And in the classroom of a group of, 30 students when you're in public school, the teacher always separates the A students from the B's and C's and the D's. And then there's always an F student, or plural students. They're all in the classroom, and the F's get to be in the classroom until they become too disruptive. And then it takes 15 minutes of the teacher's time to discipline the F students and, send them away, give them a good stern talking to. In that 15 minutes, all the other students are not learning anything except that the F student is a great time waster. And, if you could jettison the F student permanently, you'd all be better off, question mark. What do you learn from the F student? Well, later in life, you might run into this F student, this student who was a failure in grade 5 and grade 7 and grade 9 and dropped out of high school. And you might find that the F student is the wealthiest person in your city because they didn't need book learning. Somehow they had perhaps what's known as street smarts. And this was far superior in getting the things of the world, money, property, other humans to do your bidding, far better than the book learning that's taught at the public schools. Quite often, if you look at the great entrepreneurs on the planet, high school dropouts or, university dropouts. Does that mean all of us should go back to school and be F students? The next question is, for the entrepreneur who flunked out of school but became the most successful person, could they have been this successful if there weren't all those other people who went through book learning school? In other words, does this entrepreneur use an accountant who went to school for many years learning accountancy? Does this entrepreneur go see a doctor when he's got physical illnesses? Does this entrepreneur have a garbage man who comes once a week to collect the trash, etc., etc.? No man is an island is an old saying. It sounds sexist. Why no man is an island? Why no human is a island? But I'll submit to you that if it's true that the entrepreneur who is now the wealthiest person in town requires the services of all the other humans, then he or she, it is not able to live without the others. And we have a huge imbalance on our planet because very few entrepreneurs, captains of industry, owners run the show and have everything in their name. while the rest of us live poorly? When are we all going to get up off our collective asses and say, now, Mr. Entrepreneur, Captain of Industry, Owner, it's time for you to sign over all of your ownership things to us. And we're going to call it socialism. And we're going to appoint leaders of socialism to run these things the entrepreneur organized. That doesn't work either. It's been tried. Look at history. Russia was like that. The Russian Revolution, about 1914, it was a bunch of oligarchs, a small group of people who owned everything, and everyone else were serfs, peasants. And then the great socialism, Bolshevik came in and took all of the property from the oligarchs and gave it to people like Joseph Stalin, who starved the Ukrainian farmers into death. So the problem with socialism, you're taking power from a small group of oligarchs, the capitalists, and you're giving it to the socialists, a small group, the Politburo of the Communist Party. It doesn't work because you've got a small group control and then another small group of controllers. We still haven't found the ideal solution to organizing planet Earth. Shall we leave it to God to give it to us? Shall we try little experiments, computer simulations to see what might work? To help us all thrive and, get rid of the feeling that we're useless and that we're doing something that's below us, because we're certainly capable of doing more, but the only job available is minimum wage, being a clerk. It's the only way to earn money, and I've got to have money to pay my rent, my food, and my energy bill. The systems that we have now are broken. The system to replace these systems is not totally nebulous. It's a gift economy. It's a gift economy. But to transfer us from here to there, it seems an impossible chore because a lot of people don't understand gift economy. I mean, they understand birthdays, that when you go to a birthday party, you're supposed to bring a present to the person whose birthday it was, and an enlightened mother of the birthday child would have loot bags for all the other children to take home so everyone feels like they got something. And they all had a wonderful time at the birthday party. When are we going to be able to pick up our free new car at the factory, at our local dealership? Why free? Well, it should be free if it's a gift economy. Where's my house? Who's going to build my house? I need a house. The problem with this idea of gift economy is that it's all about me receiving things from others. It takes a hell of a lot of labor and material and time to build this house that apparently I need to be gifted with. I do need some place to live as a human, but it is putting out a request to others, unless I'm going to build it myself. But I still need some land allocated to me, and the land has got to be cleared of the trees and rocks and things. And I'm going to need a lot of heavy equipment to dig a hole for a basement, and someone's going to have to pour concrete. And God knows I don't know how to. Well, I've seen concrete poured. I don't think it'd be too difficult for me to, help, but I don't think I could do it on my own. First of all, I don't know how to drive a cement truck. I mean, I could get into the driver's seat of the cement truck, and if it's got a gear shift, I know gear shift, I know clutch. There's probably a lot of buttons. Hopefully, they're marked. The thing is, I'm going to be a rank amateur. And it's a huge, huge piece of equipment. And I know when I was learning how to drive a small car, when I was 16 years old, I had trouble. And if I'm going to be driving an enormous cement truck, I do have a fear that I'm going to have an accident. I'm going to need a huge field with no obstacles for me to learn how to drive a cement truck. If I'm in the city, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe I can do it. I don't think so. One of those tractor trailer rigs where, you've got the tractor in the front and then you add a trailer and it's got this linkage in the middle. And I've seen them go around corners. And, usually they have to pull out a bit further into the wrong lane in order to make the corner. I don't want to be doing that because I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up and I'm going to damage this huge piece of equipment that's going to cost a lot of time and effort to fix it. If I could go out in a huge, I could go out to the airport where they've got huge runways, then I could possibly learn how to drive this thing competently if I have a lot of time. And what about when it's snowing out? I mean, when it's snowing out, doesn't it get slippery and, then your visibility gets to be really low? I have no experience with these kind of difficult conditions. So, just to get the cement truck to the place where I'm going to build my house, I'm going to need some help right now because I can't do it. So this is the problem with the gift economy, is that I'm requiring the services of a lot of other people who have got specialized skills. And maybe they're sick of building houses. They're good at it, but maybe they want to go fishing for the next 10 years. So in a gift economy, who's going to gift me a house if no one wants to build it? Whose responsibility is it? I need a house. I'm homeless. It comes down to the level of consciousness that you have. A highly conscious person would say there are a lot of people in need of basic housing, basic foodstuffs, energy to keep it going. There are a lot of people who own vast tracts of land, some of it which already has empty buildings in it, but these ones don't want to gift it to the ones in need. They might rent it if they could get mookie money for it. Those ones, we say, have low consciousness because they see there's need, but it's all about them getting something for it. So in the end, what I'm pointing to is the problem on earth is a consciousness problem. It is a lack of enough consciousness to look after the needs of the people who are here. Is it an apparent lack or a real lack? You walk down the street of any major city and you're going to find homeless people. So it is a real problem. We have real problems because in those same cities, when you walk down the street, you also see drunken, drugged out people who look pretty dangerous to you. Again, it's a consciousness problem. Do you have to round up these people and put them in meditation centers? Good idea. If you're caught being drunk and disorderly, coming out of the bar, round you up and put you into a concentration camp run by FEMA. And there you will be fed, craft dinner, and you will be housed. You will get a cot. You will get water. You will have a shower. And during the daytime, you're going to spend an hour meditating. If you're disruptive, you're going to be whacked on the ass with a leather belt, black in color, or a yardstick. We are going to hire some nuns who are going to wear the nun habit, and they're the ones who are going to discipline you. If you still refuse to bend to the will of the disciplinarian, you are going to be taken out to the yard, and you are going to be given a sledgehammer, and there are going to be large stones there. You are going to be given goggles to protect your eyes, and your job is going to be to pound these big stones into small little pebbles. If you don't do it, you are going to be horsewhipped. And if you still don't do it, all your wounds from the whip are going to be, they're going to pour alcohol on your sore wounds to prevent infection, but it's going to be exceptionally painful. In other words, you'll be traumatized until you do what you're told to do. Oops. It seems like using force to get people to do things always results in great trauma. So what are you going to do? Let the drunks wander around your streets smashing into people's cars because they're looking for more money to buy more beer? Or are you going to round them up and put them in the drunk tank and then let them out in the morning? It's a consciousness problem, but how do you keep people to be more conscious if they don't want to? They want to be unconscious. They want to be drunk, drugged out. If you're very conscious, can you transfer your high consciousness to those other ones? I was listening to Eckhart Tolle, the spiritual teacher, yesterday. He was talking about his mother-in-law, who he said was unconscious. And he said if he was very present in the present moment after 2 or 3 sessions with his mother-in-law, she got better. Unfortunately, he said once he left to go back to his town, he heard that his mother-in-law went back to being unconscious. So it seems that you can help people if you're highly conscious, but unless you're going to spend all your time with them, they might sink back down to a lower level of consciousness. But you seem to have a great problem. I don't have an answer. I'm Harry Weaver.